Say that we're still doing a few interesting studios. So, oh, we were talking about we were talking about Machlokes Sfardim and Ashkenazim. The Ashkenazim go like the Ramah, and the Sfardim paskin like the Beis Yosef. Beis Yosef paskin like the Rambam. That a woman that does a mitzvah says she has mangrama. She has the right to do the mitzvah, right? But she can't make the bracha. But she can't make the bracha. And Ashkenazim paskin like the Ramah that she could make the bracha.
That's what we do.
Yeah. Your wife makes a bracha when she does the lulav and esrog?
Oh, when she does the lulav and
Yeah. בדרך כלל, in Yotzei Baghdad, do they make the women or not?
I think so.
They do?
I think so.
To look in the Ben Ish Chai, Ben. To
Yeah,
look in Ben Ish
Chai
Chai,
probably talks
Pashas,
about it.
the A, I think in the A is where Ben Ish Chai has the brachas.
My sister always
Yeah, they make the bracha?
came to the shul.
Yeah, they make the bracha? I have to look in
By
the Ben
them
Ish
also
Chai.
they have machloket.
So I have to look in the Ben Ish Chai, see what the Ben Ish Chai says. But Lopel, your sisters make a bracha? Yeah, okay. I mean, interesting. Okay, so that was the discussion, and in the beginning of Ois Gimel, Tzemach Tzedek brings in Ois Beis basically. Tzemach Tzedek is going to bring two svaras of what was the machloikis. One svara is why is it an issue? We say that you're not allowed to say a brach she'ena tzricha. What's the problem with saying a brach she'ena tzricha? Ma baya. So what's the problem with bracha vatola? Is it isa de rais or is it de rabbanon? Most of the Rishonim hold so isa de rabbanon. The rabbanon said it's not nice. Minatoid is not a problem. It's not like saying shem shemaim lavatola l'sis shem l'shov. That's like making a shul shov and a shul sheker. As a person saying that a man is a man or a woman is a woman. That's shul shov because everyone knows a man is a man, a woman is a woman. Today maybe people are confused, but normal people they don't get confused with that. And or the other way around. If he says a man is a woman is a man, it's a shur sheker. Why? Because it's not true. So that it was ever in the Ten Commandments is he was noisa shem shemayim lashov or lasheker. But here he said shakli b'dvarim. Is it true? Yeah, it's true. Shakli b'dvarim. It's mabaya. But he was not drinking water now. So most of Rishonim hold that this is really only a isur derabbanan. The Rambam says it's kin nishba lasheker. The Magen says he holds it's deraisa, but some say the Magen didn't really mean it. It's not true, but that's what Tzemach Tzedek said. Depends if you hold that same Shem Shemayim saying a bracha and a tzricha is it's a deraisa. So a woman, it's a bracha and tzricha. Who asked you to make the bracha? You're not mechuyev to do the mitzvah. But if you say it's also the Rabbanon said that I don't want you to stop walking around saying brachas.
Only if you need it.
Only if you need it. So a woman, it's not stop making a bracha.
She wanted to.
She wants to make. It says taka godel mitzvah v'yoyisa.
Even though you don't need it.
That was one svara.
But it's a mitzvah.
I told the story.
It's a mitzvah.
It's yeah.
So mitzvah by the mitzvah.
Yeah. But if you say that was the other svara, that was that says maybe that's the machloikas. You remember we spoke about this 2 weeks ago. I told you then the story about a Yid that came here after the Holocaust. And he used to Shabbos, he didn't have where to stay. He used to stay in my grandparents' house. My grandparents lived right next to 770.
He came
What about
on
here?
Shabbos because he had Poshet didn't have what to eat.
Yeah, Pasha was a Yid, but he was a Yid that came, he lost his family, he lost everything. What about here?
Okay. Right there.
School. School.
Uh,
Yeah, you want to learn Torah.
Let's go. What is it called?
Passim,
Yeah.
I guess.
I guess.
I guess.
So there was a Yid, he was mamish, he came, so what happened was the first time he came to America, the Frierdiker Rebbe was still alive, and he wanted to have Yechidus the Frierdiker Rebbe.
Okay.
And was zei het, zag kom de richtige moment, mamish the richtige moment. So this is my father always tell me the story. He wollte sein nach Yechidus the Frierdiker Rebbe. The Frierdiker Rebbe wasn't feeling good, and they stopped the line for Yechidus. So he came and said, "Sepikayach nefesh, sepikayach nefesh, sepikayach nefesh."
You need to go in. Okay.
So they went to ask, I forget who it was the secretary, asked, Friedrich Rebbe, sie kommen nach Yid, sagt sie Pekeyach Nefesh, and they don't know what to do. But Friedrich Rebbe is not feeling good. So they stopped the Yechidus. Yeah. So what should they do? So the Friedrich Rebbe said they should let him in. Okay, he came in, and as soon as he got gefragt nishken shaila. Right away, he saw the Frierdiker Rebbe, and he started saying, Rebbe, sollte sein gesund und stark, und sollte haben Nachas von der Chassidim. And he started to give brachas like a Bobbin, like a Yent, gave him brachas, alle brachas. And he couldn't stop giving brachas. Brachas. He finished, I get the Nach, and he walked out of Yechidus.
Where is the Pekuach Nefesh?
This is the best.
The Frierdiker Rebbe called back the secretary, and he said, the Yid mit der lebt. This guy made me so alive. I could take now more yechidus. He could open the line again. You could have more yechidus.
Wow.
And my father always tells me he used to stay. My father had a little bedroom, so they had a tiny house. So they used to stay with my father. My father was a kid. They didn't have what to put him. They put him. So he said that. No, that there was a baby was crying, and the mommy feels very bad for the baby. So, but the mommy is never poor. So she puts in warm water, but the baby eats a little bit, and then the baby cries because it's not full. And Amol, the mommy got milk, so she put in milk, warm milk. The baby, it could get geschlafen, it was good. So he said, "To do a sach Rebbes, the Rebbeinu Shalom geben was als piste battelig." Says als piste battelig, empty bottles. He says the Lubavitcher Rebbe, this a fille battle. The Yidden nach the Muhammad, they're drinking this battle. It's good.
I mean,
They
he felt it on his meat.
Yeah. So his name was Yisrael Gottesman. But the Rebbe didn't want to call him by his name because G-O-D man. So the Rebbe used to call him Rabbi Yisrael Baal Shem. Be careful.
It's different.
And the Rebbe called him Rabbi Yisrael Baal Shem. So Nemesis.
His restaurant called Sefirah River in English.
Oh yeah?
Above and beyond. Above and beyond.
That's what you're right, above and beyond?
Yeah.
Okay, L'chatchila River. L'chatchila River. Okay, very good. So, Nemesis, that there is...
Why are we saying this story for the shir?
What am I saying? Because we're saying about being very careful saying Hashem's name.
Right.
Be very, very careful not to say Hashem's
And
name.
this person?
Because his name was Hashem's name. His
God,
name
God.
was God is man. G-O-D man.
Uh-huh.
God is man.
Not with a test. That just.
Yeah, G-O-D in Yiddish. If it was one that the Eibishter is Gimel Aleph Tes. And then you write Samach, Mem, Aleph, Langenun, Gottesman. The Rebbe didn't want to say his name because the Rebbe was very careful not to say Shem Shemayim Lavatola. The Rebbe wanted him not to feel bad, so the Rebbe called him Rabbi Yisrael Baal Shem.
Goodman.
Same thing.
Last name Goodman. So is God name? Or
Gutman is not the same thing.
Man is a
Good man.
person.
Good man.
Good man, yeah.
Good man.
Good man is good man.
Yeah, but
Fair.
good man, the Rebbe had a home.
A good man is good. That's a good man is a good man. But this is Mamish. It was God man.
He said we get it's a person here.
Ah, we had here. We used to have good men.
Oh yeah.
Whatever we can do about
How
it.
is possible it's in the middle of the floor, by second floor?
Where is it?
It's right here on top with the light.
What?
Krichte pesazach.
Do you have the raccoon? Do you have
It's a raccoon. A raccoon.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a klein kazach.
Either a raccoon or something.
It's a raccoon.
Yeah.
It's a raccoon or a squirrel. I don't think it's a squirrel. Okay.
People are sleeping at night. They're not doing it in the morning yet. Not at night.
Uh-huh. Okay. Emesis, the emesis azoy. That there is a machloikis, a rishonim, when a person has a suffix bracha, l'chumra l'kula. Most rishonim hold suffix bracha l'kula. That's why we pass from shechnora. You ever hear about suffix bracha l'chumra? But there is such a shita. In the Toysis Daf Yud Beis, Rebbe Kiva Eger is metzayin to different places where Toysis holds that way. That suffix bracha l'chumra, not l'kula. Maybe the pshat is like this. Depends. If you hold that the problem of suffix bracha, the problem. I'm sorry, bracha shenet tzricha is because it's Shem Hashem Lashov. So then, what do you mean to say suffix bracha l'chumra? How can you say l'chumra?
You can say Shem Hashem.
You can't say Shem Hashem. How do you say? What do you mean l'chumra? Obviously, the opinion that says that suffix bracha l'chumra holds that the reason why usually we say suffix brachas lahakol, we say suffix derabbanan l'kula, and they don't hold b'chlal that it has to do with Shem Shemayim levatala. So nishkin levatala, nishder ice, nishder rabbanan garnish. So nish levatala. The Eibush didn't make the water. Shakel nebedvari. I am not drinking.
Somebody don't know if he bench or not.
We paskin suffix derabbanan, suffix brachas lahakol, unless it's their ice. Yeah, unless it's their ice. Okay.
What could be bench twice?
Yeah, the takafos bench twice.
Right.
Okay, so let's read from the middle of the line in the page 4, the second column. Whatever. It's let's go. It's like 10 or 12 lines from the top. It says Mikoma kamachuvas Rambam simach chavov uve the Kesef Mishnah Perigim Lechas Mila Mashayishiv Lachach Melunil Vachachamim Shetiknu Zabrocha. The Heim Omru Kol Mavar Avrak Shein Tzrich Mishum Loitisa Lefikach Kol Davar Shein Estapik Lana Masid Davar Mitztavin Noisim Belo Brocha Loitiknu Lachamim Brocha Mizema Atkan Lashenim Mizema Ashma Kel Yeraba the Gdamru Heim Omru Kol Mavarich Mashma from Loshen the Rambam Chachmel Lebrulin Chachmel Lebrulin Chachmel Lunil Heim Amru, the Chum said that a brach shenet tzricha is a problem. Mashma the enem in a Torah. Void im loikein havelem pshitas the kiven the chiva brach ein elam devreim. V'yesh neged the sofik is a Torah. Var brach shenet tzricha oive al kor chen levorach. Kovar rak mishum heim shetiknu vein amru mashma mishum shash teiraisa. Zeh k'mach kosav al yerabe kanal. Then kosav term sedeshim of some lamazayim shem goinim. The Gemara says, that when it talks about Avdollah, it's saying once betfila and once on a kos of wine. We all that know you have to do Avdollah betfila and also bekos. The Chum, the one that said you have to do both. You have to make the Avdollah sai betfila and sai ala kos. Mashma from that the whole idea of a brach shenetzirich is derabanan. V'lachein heim amru, oh shemavdol b'tfilot so shavdol lakois dem loikein. If you're going to tell me that the whole thing of a brach shenetzirich is deraisa, really, what do you mean? Eich amru kain. What do you mean? Heim amru v'heim amru. They said, you know what? Say twice of dollar. Once at the choinin and tefillah, and once on the kois. What do you mean? Heim amru v'heim amru. Chazinen, the Sefirah Hashas, the Daimla Brach Shenet Tzricha, the Gemara and the Chatchil and the Sugi says, what do you mean you're going to say it twice? It's a Brach Shenet Tzricha. The Gemara says, no, don't worry, Chum said. What Chum said? If it's in the Deraisa, what do Chum said? How could the Chachamim say something which is against the Torah. Elamai was mazagin. The Brach Shenet Tzricha is only the Rabbanon. They're the ones that make the rules. They're the ones that make the rules. Okay, so that finishes this nakuda.
So if you say how the Havdalah by the Meir, it could be Yotze with Havdalah, you don't have to make Havdalah.
No, the Gemara says you do. So he's saying from this fact, from that you
so
do.
you're not Yotze with Havdalah from Meir.
Right. So if you'd say Bracha Shenet Tzricha is Deiraisa, how are they playing games? The Torah said, Elamai really because the Bracha Shenet Tzricha is Derabbanan. And they said, no, when it comes to Havdalah, we want you to say it twice.
It's also the Rabban.
Huh?
Havdalah wine is also the Rabban.
Some say it's Deiraisa. That's why you could argue with that. Some say it's Deiraisa.
Why is
V'hine lefi das El Yerabba Barambam had the noshim ein mevorches al mitzvah as man gram afshu isa der Rabbanon mekom loy huter lemi shehu poter ma'bracha. So bottom line is that the Tzimul Tzedek wanted to say that the machloikes Sfardim and Ashkenazim, if we make a bracha or not, is tolu if a bracha shenet tzirich is deraisa derabbanan. Then the Tzimul Tzedek says, look, but I think that the El Yerab is right, and even the Rambam is going to agree that bracha shenet tzirich is not a deraisa. So now I have to give a new explanation. What's taka the machloikes? Why is there a machloikes Sfardim and Ashkenazim Rambam against the Ramah? If women could make a bracha on Tkiyah Shofar, on the Tilas Lulav, on Sefirah Soimer, and so on. So he says, the Hodin Oshim and Borcha Mitzvah Sheman Grom actually is the Rabban Makom Makom Hutel Mishu Potem HaBracha. Ba'afla Fizeh, time of the day Beravcha Yesh Loimer. I could say another thing, Beravcha, another nice pshat, Berevach. It's not going to be a doichik. Yesh Loimer Azl Tamei, Poisek Rabbi Yehuda. The noshim ein semches klal basalam lismich. Ein ab beloy baak for yadayich. Okay, let me explain. Let me stop a second, because otherwise, if we're reading, it'll sound like Chinese. It says in the beginning of Vayikro, we're mid the halmach achrimois kadoshim emor bahar b'chakoysa. We're middle of Vayikro. Yisrael, and it says that when they bring a korban, you have to be saimach, whatever the lashon apostle. But talks about samach yodei al rosh hapor, and over there it says daber al bnei Yisrael. The Gemara says bnei Yisrael v'lo bnei Yisrael. That men have to do smicha. Samach yodei al rosh hapor. Women don't have to do smicha. A woman has to bring a korban. Yeah, women have to bring korbanos, right? More than men, maybe. Last week, Parsha, okay? But they don't have to do smicha. They don't have to do smicha. Mishnah says, there was a machloikis. The Gemara says that the women used to like to do smicha. If the men do it, the women like to do it. Okay. They don't want to, different, equal rights for men and women. So the Gemara said that in the Beis Hamikdash, they wanted to make a nachas ruach for the women. They said, let the women do it. And there's a machlokes tanoim if it's true that you're allowed to. If you're allowed to. So Rabbi Yehuda says, no way, no how. The Torah says, b'nei Yisrael, v'loi b'noi Yisrael. You're not allowed to. Rabbi Yosef Rishima said, no, there's a trick. We tell them, ba'atfu yodaychu. Smicha is bekol koyach. You have to put the samach yoda. You put your whole koyach, and if you put your whole koyach, it's a shaila. It's ila bekochim. It's a shaila if you did the whole shaila. So they tell the women.
Was only on Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah.
Not on the lamb and sheep and.
Why? Who told you not on the lamb and the sheep?
But not the whole person.
No. Why not?
It wasn't such a strong animal.
Huh? I think smicha was always better kol koyach. I think smicha was always bekol koicher. And the women, they said, when the women do smicha, they shouldn't do bekol koicher. Why? Because this way it's not a me'ila bekochim. Okay. But Rabbi Yehuda said, no. Why not? So the Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon saying to him, what's the big deal? Chachamim said, if you're not doing a bekol koicher, you only over is the Rabbanon. So the Rabbanim want to make it nice for the women, Why should we make it? We should make a vibishul that's nice. And the men have air conditioning, the women should have air conditioning. And if it's good for the men, we should make it good for the women. So if the men have a samach yoda rosh hapor, let the women have a samach yoda rosh hapor. Make equal rights for men and women. So Rabbi Yehuda says no. So the Tzemach Tzedek says, why no? What's bothered there? Why do you care that the women are going to be happy?
Isn't it
Why don't you make the women happy?
some you do next to the mizbeach?
No, this is not the problem. The whole Azora, if it's Kochin column, could be outside the Azora.
Oh, the outside.
The problem here is that in Mi'ila Bekochin, because if they're doing Bekol Koich, it's Mi'ila Bekochin.
What's the
So Tosfos says,
what's the meaning of it?
because
You're not allowed to touch the behem? What?
no, because you're leaning heavy on the behemoth. It's considered
Is that
because
you walk in the behem?
yeah, because if the behemoth would move, you would fall on the floor and you would hurt yourself very badly.
Okay, so that's
If
you're like you walk in.
yeah, similar, right? If you're leaning lightly, the
Nothing
behemoth
happens.
would move.
And you're
Nothing
not
would
gonna
happen
fall.
to you, right?
Here is
But
like
if you're
they're
leaning
holding
with
you.
kol koicho,
It's like
exactly.
they're holding you.
If the behemoth would move, you'd lose two teeth.
Uh-huh.
So B'meila, the behemoth standing in one place makes that you should not lose two teeth. So B'meila, that's called Meila Bekochim. So this is the machlokes. It says it's a machzedek. So what's the machlokes here really to be Yehuda against the Yosef of Shimon? Essentially, if you think about it for a minute, the Yosef of Shimon said, let's make it nice for the women. Let's make it good for the women. Let's make a nice as noshim. Let's make the women happy. Let's make smicha shaloi b'shkol koiche is also the rabbanon. What's the big deal? But Rabbi Yehuda says no way, no how. There's no discounts over here. You know, the person says the Eibush is mevater, the Eibush is kevater.
That's it for the women to do that.
Right. So Tzemach Tzedek says that maybe Machloikis, the Tzemach Tzedek is a brilliant test. If you look at the Rishonim, there's only one Rish in the passings that could be Yehuda. Sooner or later, everybody's going to squabble, and there's the Rishonim, and 4 Pshatim, Gemara, whatever. Before we get there, bottom line is that Tzemach Tzedek says, if you look in Hilchos Maisa Karbonos, the Rambam Paskins like Rabbi Yehuda. Noshim Avias Korban Vein Samchas. They don't do smicha, no smicha whatsoever. Zero.
How is it because of me?
Yeah. And the other Rishonim, the Rashba, they paskin like Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon, that they're Saimach. Shaloi b'kol koiche. So Tzemach Tzedek said, the Rambam is l'shitose. The Rambam, just like Rabbi Yehuda said, we're not making special things for women. We're not making special things for women. That's it. No special discounts for women. So just like there's no special discounts for women, well, for I mean, it's a big thing. The Gemara says that Rabbi Yehuda V'Shim said you can make nachas ruach l'noshim. So, but that's it. Rabbi Yehuda not into that business of making nachas ruach l'noshim. So if just like it would make nachas ruach l'noshim to push away Issa the Rabbanon of Akfu Yadaich, it's only the Rabbanon. So Rambam says, so Hachinami, they mistaber, the Rabbanon will not let them make a brocha on tefillin and on tzitzis and on sukkah and on lulav and on svirzayim. But the Rishonim that hold like Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon, that said, come on, Chazal were nice to the women. Usually Chachamim are very strict, but for the ladies, we're soft. For the women, we're soft. So even though there's a Issa that Rabbanon to lean on a behemoth, the Rabbanon. The Rabbanon are not going to be lenient. For women, there's a pass.
The maker.
For women, like Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon said, we want to make nice for the women. You know, Rabbi Shimon understands a woman that was waiting for her husband for 13 years. You got to be nice to her. Rabbi Yehuda didn't have this experience. I'm sorry, it's like Narishka. Rabbi Shimon was in the cave. Nebuchadnezzar's wife was waiting for him for 13 years. This is. I saw lately in the Sefirah they have Meforshim and they have Pirush Noshim. I clicked on it. What's Pirush Noshim? From the reform rabbits,
Ich
from the
should not even
Reform
think that.
rabbits.
Ich should not even think that.
Ich verstehe. So, als Abschat, wie ich jetzt gesagt habe, kommen von the Reform rabbits. Such a shallow pshat.
To make
Yeah. Reb Shimon was in the cave for 12 years, 13 years. If a state, woman Nebach is, so he said, let's be soft on the women. If Yehuda is fakert, he became Rosh Hashanah Mechamokim, so he doesn't have any sympathy for the women. Anyway, not a shazach. So back to the thing. The bottom line is that Reb Shimon said, we make a nachas ruach chazal, we're going to push away so that Rabbanon to make nachas ruach l'noshim. And when they bring the korban, that they should be able to do smicha. So hachinam mistaber that Rabbanon said that a person is not mechuyev in the mitzvah says allowed to do it, allowed to hear shofar, allowed to do it till slulav, they're allowed to put on tzitzis, they're allowed to put on film. Okay, film is a problem with gufnoki, whatever. But the Gemara says Michal Bashal put on film. They could count. There's a kshayla if the woman could keep a gufnoki, yeah. So it's hard for us to understand probably Bisman Hazeh. It's probably hard for us to understand Bisman Hazeh because
when she's Tome? Like
no.
So
It's
what's the difference between her and the man?
What's different?
Yeah.
It's hard for us to know. A thing like this, they didn't have good medicine back then. Kenzai, women once they started having babies and they couldn't treat not this and not that, and not the other. It's hard. I don't know. It's hard to understand.
No diapers.
Huh?
No diapers. Babies.
No, that's not for the babies. He said because the babies among the mommies. Kenzai does. I don't think so. I think they didn't have good medicine. So it could be once a woman already had a baby and there may be all kinds of issues and they didn't know how to treat them. So maybe they were not so knocked. I don't know. Like upon him. So there's all these things Chacham said.
Oh, she's not weird. It's black stuff.
So maybe she's like that. If that's what it means. I think maybe the Gashmi is posh in those days. Maybe it was. But maybe. So Yois, we see the Chacham made a nachas ruach of women, and they were doiche the Isa the Rabbanon of Akfi Yudaich, and they said you could.
If you want, you could make.
If you want, you could. The same thing in Islam, and then someone said it proves it. You see, the same Rambam who says it's also for women to make a bracha.
But here,
he's the same guy that says that it's also for women to do smicha. Noshim einu semchas plau. And Mashenk the other Rishonim, they say that women are semchas. They're semchas like Rabbi Yosef Shimon. So it's a nice lishitose. Anyway, so that's the bottom line. Okay, we can read a little bit inside. Huh?
Cover your hair.
No, that wasn't the Inyan sneeze. The act for Yudaichel Smicha. No, that they're saying what the problem is. It's also that I want. Oh, Gufnaki. No, I don't think it's sneeze. It's Gufnaki. Nah, Michal Bashol was, she was special. Like, Rashi's daughters. Yeah, exactly. Where we holding Shenkin La Rambam, the Sefirah. Go back a few lines. Oh, Gamla Fizeh time the day Beraf Yesh Loimer. Also when the second column on page 4, towards the end. The Gamla Fizeh time of the day Beraf Yesh Loimer. I can sagen Berevach the Pshat in the Rambam. The Yesh Loimer the Oslo Tamei the Pasuk Rabbi Yehuda. Haskins like Rabbi Yehuda. The Noshim Semach it's klar. V'osman Lismeh. Afloi back for Yadayich. Not even if they're leaning lightly. Imshahu is rak isa the Rabbanon. Moikin Sefirah Nosh Haim Avarch the Mitzvah Shazman Grama Av the Baruch in Zircha. Who rak with the Rabbanon? The Hatoises were a material Nosh in the Baruch Mishum Shapasku Kerbes Mishum Noshim Semchas Rishus Shenkel Ram of the Sefirah the Noshim Asuris Lismach Meilavada Haim Avarchim. Al Mitzvah Shazman Grama Fimem Baruch in Zircha rak isa the Rabbanon. This is new pshat that the machlok is not if Brachon and is the rice the Rabbanon. Everyone could hold Brachon and Tzricha as the Rabbanon. The shaila is what Chachamim willing to be doich for the Rabbanon to make women happy. That's the shaila. Okay,
when we talk about Lichmention, she light and the candle shut off. We said we make that to them
and to make the women the goy
should come light it.
Right. No, but over there, it's because we say
She already made
Tzorech Godel. Let's say
Right.
because it's like for
the
women,
tzar that she
the
had
tzar
to
is will be a
face is more
tremendous,
sad.
tremendous tzar. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you see that there is over there. You could say I feel like Yehuda be masking. That's only a shaila, like
Here's an
is it
akop.
tzar? It's a
Here's
tzar.
akop.
Here, it's a clear issa derabanan. Is issa deraisa? It's derabanan. That's very clear. Shaila is, would you say Chama willing to push away issa derabanan to make nachas ruach l'noshim? Like we find, there's the famous thing that the Rebbe always quotes in some tzaddik ches that women had a minhag not to go to shul in the days of their nidus. Lepoil, we said that a woman that her is in the MC man nidus, and not even to look at Sefer Torah, and her son is getting married. And be a big tsar for her, her daughter is getting married. So she's not going to go to shul, and there's aliyah for the chosin, and they can throw the candies and chulul, and they used to have a mulgatzait and bigger minhagim even than us. It used to be a lot of minhagim around the Shabbos, the chosin, and now she can't come to shul. It'll be a big tsar for her. So the Alter Rebbe goes in this whole thing about that, taking account there shouldn't be a tsar for the women. It'll be itzov, in the words of the Alter Rebbe is, it'll be itzov and godel. Itzov and godel. Itzavon. Atzavim.
No, lots of him. Atzvus.
So what about the women that want to Simchas Torah, take the Torah in modern circles? What would the Alter Rebbe say? What's the is it 100% usher? Is it that they went to the mikveh? Is it, legit question, because I come across that issue with stuff that I've been to, places I've been to,
I mean, the women wear.
and there's some people that are, the men are about to go to blows over it.
Uh-huh. We should look and see what the Peter Shnoshim and Zafariah says about it.
Don't the women wear towels over there?
The bylaws of the show. Bylaws.
Yeah, that's you should know. That's why all these shuls and the old. I came to the Bronx 27 years ago, whenever, and there was a guy. He was a very choshev judge, and I did his levaya. He wanted to. First time I met him, we came very close. He said, "I want lachem eves." I was here in Beis Lachem. I was it up, and when I found out he was nifted, I called the family. Whatever, he didn't have any children. And I made sure to officiate his levaya. Right over here and this Washington Cemetery. It's like so full. He had his place that he bought Miyamim Yamima. So he told me, why do you think we push so much that this shul should become a young Israel shul? Was felt as he said, because Rahman al we never knew what's going to be. Then if it's a kafuf to a religious organization, so then it can't come once again a Rav and a Rebbe and a rabbi, a rabbit, and it's coming to the members, and then they'll say ois mechitza, yem mechitza, and the davening chulu. So that's why. So that they have to make sure the bylaws of the shul will say clearly what it is.
Some bylaws say they don't allow Chabad either.
But
But I'm asking Amarat such a question. Just I don't know. Is it halacha that a woman cannot?
carry Sefer Torah, no, there's no problem really. Up here, there's no problem. That's the MS.
So
The only problem is the problem really is not the halacha. It's not like serious like over here, ba'akfu yadaycha, on the face of it. But if you dig a little deeper, it's more serious. Because akfu yadaychu is a issa derabanan.
what's up?
Akfu yadaychu means to lean on the korban, not lightly, treading lightly. So it's a shaila if we're going to push away Sederabon, I'm not going to push away Sederabon for making nachasro for women. So here, one person is going to say, "Ma that we paskin, that we push away Sederabon." So for a woman carrying a sefer Torah, which maybe if she's a nida, it's a shaila because it's no isa that it's isa meminik ba'alma. It's chikol shekim kavachoyim, it should be mutter.
For someone, whatever.
Yeah. But the truth is, anyone that understands the Nepuda understands that the opposite is true.
That.
That if you give the Yetzer Hara a finger, then the Yetzer Hara wants a hand.
Next thing they're going to start making hagber.
Right.
Yeah.
I was on one hand,
Since you read the Torah,
yes, but on the other hand, maybe
So
we
I'll tell you,
shouldn't always for Shalom. Maybe we should if it's not an issue. I
I
don't.
have to tell you something. Bottom line,
Yeah.
I once read a long interview, and I don't remember where it was, with Rabbi Riskin. That he said he had a yechidus with the Rebbe, and he asked the Rebbe this question, and that the Rebbe Kilu was masking that maybe in certain communities that it should be done away from Sanua, that it should be in a separate hall, in the social hall, that the women should dance in Sefer Torah. The next day he gets a call from the mosquitoes that the Rebbe wants to make it very clear to him that he thought about it, and the Rebbe thinks that it's Issa Gomor. Yeah, it's an unusual thing, and it's unusual, right? Because in halacha, I understand that a lot of times, like like this.
You would make it for certain
I
things.
did a mashal chayes tafshin yutes, and the Rebbe changed his mind on the spot. But usually on these things, still the Rebbe. There was a Mishnah Achronet, the Rebbe asked to call him up, and it's funny that he should tell it, like
I'm sorry. What?
that he should tell the story, right? Like if he told the story that the Rebbe told him is good, the women should dance. I would doubt that. Well, no, who knows? Is it true? Is it not true? Now that he tells the story this way, I have no reason to doubt
Right.
that that's the way the story happened.
You
And
think he was-
Rebbe asked the secretary to call him next day and to tell him that he thought about it and he thinks it's Isur Gomor.
What did Rabbi Riskin do?
Lav dafke he listened. He's
Right.
nicht gehalten,
Maybe-
alle Babetje Chos,
Right,
wow.
maybe that's why he said the story. Not that he lied about it. He said the story to say, the Rebbe even had to have a minute that it might be okay.
Right, exactly. But the Havamina was in a social hall and no men are allowed, v'chulu, and not in every community, and then they never thought about it, and I think that the Rebbe was thinking like, that's it. It's going to be Ein Ladav Asoif, and whatever Tayelis you're going to get,
It's going to be a whole.
you're going to get more of a Churban than a Tayelis.
And for those things, the Rebbe would use the terminology Isser Gomer.
The truth is, me and you weren't there at the
Right,
conversation.
right.
So it's very
We don't
hard
know
to know
exactly
exactly
terminology.
what the Rebbe said.
Right.
But this, I have no reason to doubt the Rebbe Riskin. Why should he lie about it?
So say when you say the women wanted that's when the thing it doesn't come from Kedusha. You know what I'm saying?
So, and even if sometimes there's women that they're like
Fair enough,
this
but
Charles
no.
Chuvas, there's women that wanted to wear talis and make a bracha. And it says the end, he says no problem. The women can wear talis and make a bracha. Yeah, but today, Lamazang today.
They don't want to feel left,
Why-
feel left out.
Yeah,
And they're like,
I'm saying.
"What's the big deal. Nothing,
The Tzemach
it's not a
Tzedek wrote a
problem,
tshuva,
why not?"
and the end of the whole tshuva is that to defend that the women are allowed to wear tzitzis because these guys, whatever, wrote a whole pilpul. Why not? They can wear tzitzis and make a bracha. Even so, I don't think that today any Chabad house would promote such a thing. It would be narishkeit. It would be instead of doing good, you're doing the opposite of good. Anyway, so that's the lumdus over here. And if we can read quickly to the end, it's constant fulfilling. Bottom line is, just in case we don't have time, let's just go to the bottom line. Turn the page. I'll call upon him the last three lines of the ois. Roiv hapoiskim svira leid and noshim seimchois rishus the loka rambam k'mashehid rajbo im ke mizeh yotzlon lokayim sakramo ketoisus veran that the women are allowed to make a bracha. Ma'in chulin betoisus divramaskel noshim. Now, Kitzer tzchis atayin the bracha shetzich the rambam also l'shitosei. The poisum perigimum hirkes meitzek rabbanos v'noshim ein semchus klal. Aber the ma'id posak roiva poiskim the noshim semchus reshus ba'ak for yadayshim reshus the rabbanon. V'moikein mutaretz levarech. So that's the bottom line. Then he goes into tshuva, a whole pilpul, very, very geschmack and pilpul about back and forth. The bottom line is he comes out with the maskona that women should wear tzitzis and make a broch. But yeah, Based on this, huh? Yeah, fine. It's a mitzvah. Say, sure, yeah, sure. It's a moedic thing. The reason why we're not advocating it for today is because Yinik is a chitzonim. It's just not. It's going to be, but yeah, Rahman al excuse. But there's the Rifkin family comes here, and we're related because we came from Klimovich, same town, and they said that the women in Klimovich used to wear tzitzis. They used to make a bracha on it. I'm not sure it's Saturday. That she wore tefillin.
No,
I don't think so. I don't.
That's the Lashon Hara that was going around. Baba Maria said,
Baba Mayasha.
yeah.
You're in a shul that.
I don't think so.
You know better than I do.
My grandparents made the department had in the back was 3 bedrooms. And all the Eniklach used to live there. I used to live there. It was Machaya instead of living in my parents' house. Okay, shkar for joining us.